Hey everyone, long time no see from me, no hear from me. It's been pretty busy with the 9 to 5. Well, I do radio, so it's like 24/7 really is the way it works. But found the moment on this Sunday. Want to do the Sunday service. My children, welcome to my congregation. It's your congregation, really. Welcome to the House of Geekdom. And I want to talk about a few things and get caught up with you all. A few things that I'm going to go over in this video. I had an amazing local auction find that blew me away Saturday morning. So I'm going to go over that. I'm going to show you the haul there on the gem I found in a box that I paid, I believe, $25 for. So that's coming up. I'm going to talk about some new stuff. House of X came out last week. I'm a big X-Men guy, always have been since I was a kid. And this is an exciting jumping on point that's, I think, bigger in a way that a lot of the quote-unquote events happen. I think this is more legit. This isn't a crossover thing necessarily. This really does feel fresh. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit and some recent comic calls over the past month, whenever the last time I talked to you all. And another thing I want to start out with, and I'm going to start out with this. I'm thinking, as I've been doing this, as I started SGN a little over a year ago now. You know, one thing when you go out there and start doing things and you're trying some stuff out, your work evolves. And I feel like the website, I feel like the social media side of things for what I'm trying to do, I feel like that's evolving a little bit. And I'm thinking about some enhancements, a little bit of rebranding. Because one thing that I notice when I go to Comic Cons, especially, and I do a Facebook Live from a Comic Con, is that saying Super Geek News, Brady here with Super Geek News Midwest, it's a mouthful. So I'm thinking of shortening all that and doing a slight rebranding as far as the name. And I'm thinking about Heartland Geek. Just simply Heartland Geek. And going with that is kind of the imaging as far as the branding of what I'm trying to do. So let me know what you think about that, by the way. As you might also notice, this is a recorded video. I usually do Facebook Live videos, but I want to expand the reach on this YouTube channel and get Heartland Geek going as a YouTube channel as well, and really just covering all the bases when it comes to social media stuff. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about Heartland Geek. I'm going to mess with some designs. I'm going to do a lot of the same stuff content-wise. I just kind of want to shorten the name up a little bit and make it a little more creative, I guess, in a way. Just slightly, a little bit more. All right, let's talk about the live auction haul. So, Friday, my regular job, doing a radio. I was doing a live remote at a local liquor store that was celebrating, or is celebrating 50 years in the community, and they had a big bash on Saturday, and a big sale as well. So I was doing a live remote, and I was talking with the owner through my phone and airing him live, and that's, you know, how, if you know anything about radio, that's a lot of how live remotes work. You have your phone, you call it in through the station, they patch it through, and you're kind of doing a live interview. And I was doing a live interview with the store owner. During that interview, my dad's calling. And I wonder if, like, that waiting beep, you know, that beep or that tone that you'll get when you get a call coming in, I think that might have went over on air during the interview. But anyway, after I was done with that, I called my dad back. And my dad was like, hey, I looked in the newspaper, and apparently there's going to be a local auction going on at the fairgrounds. And vintage comic books was listed in the description. And he just wanted to give me a heads up about it. So I thought, you know what? I do a morning thing. I do a very short 30-minute program, a live program on the radio on Saturday mornings. And this thing started at 9:30, and that's typically when I get done with it. And Winfield's about 10 minutes away from Arc City, 10 minutes north. So after I was done with the radio show, I went down to check out this auction, and it was an actual live auction. It looked like it was kind of a estate sale, or at least remnants of an estate sale sort of thing. Maybe 3 or 4 different estates, I'm guessing. And I looked, and I found the comic books, the boxes of comic books, And as I kind of expected in a lot of sales like this, especially when you're just kind of clearing out somebody's basement more or less, they were in rough shape, very rough shape. But I looked through one box and I found something that caught my eye. And thankfully, when it was all said and done, when it came to the condition of this book, this was the more valuable book in the box, and it was in the better condition of all of them. I won this box with a $25 bid. I got into a slight bidding war, maybe $3 to $4 each way for a little bit, but I won at $25. And I'm so happy I did, because the only reason I stuck around, I had to wait a little bit for this auction. The only reason I stuck around for them to get to the table that the comic books was because I knew this book was one to wait for. Superman number 44, or excuse me, Superman number 30 from 1944. And if you are a Superman aficionado, you will know that this is a pretty big key. This is the first appearance of Mr. Mr. Mxyzptlk. Is that right? This is where I'm more, I'm more of a Marvel guy, but let me see. Let me find that in the book. And I want to be very careful here. It's still in pretty rough shape. It's nearly 80 years old. But there he is. And again, that's Mr. I need to see it. Mr. Mxyzptlk, or whatever. I mean, a funny thing about this book and about this character is that the fact that his name is confusing to pronounce is a part of the character. It's a part of the plot of the character. And apparently the only way to get him to vanish is to say it backwards. And you have to trick him into doing that. And he's kind of this magician elf or something from a different dimension. And he's just all about mischief in a way. Kind of like a very weird version of Loki, I guess you can say. But Superman number 30, 1944, first appearance. And also notice, one, I love yellow covers. And also notice that we have Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane all on the cover together, which I think is pretty cool. If you take a closer look, you can see this, has some issues. There's a tear there. Obviously rough around the edges. And to the back, you can kind of see some issues here. There's a little bit of a corner missing right there. But other than that, as far as the pages inside, the staples are pretty good. Everything's complete. The color of the pages, obviously an off-white, but I mean, not terrible. The color is pretty good. And obviously the yellow is in good shape. So I'm going to get this graded. I haven't had a chance to bag and board it yet. I will, I assure you. If I could have any silver this is a Golden Age book, so I need to make sure I even have a right-sized board and bag for this, because honestly, I'm not sure if I do or not. So I am going to get this graded, though, but I mean, obviously, this will display nicely. I looked up the value, and basically, in this condition, I'm hoping for a 4.5. It's probably at least a 3.5. But looking at various websites, looking at eBay, book in this condition graded anywhere from a 3 to 4 has been selling for at least $500 to as high as $900. So obviously I got I'm going to get my return on that. This was in a $25, or this was in a box that I won at an auction for $25. These are the type of finds you dream of. Also in this box, that the cover holds together. As you can see, this one's rough. But we got a giant Superman annual number 4. The cover, as you can see, I mean, not in horrendous shape. It has some issues, obviously, but the colors still pop. And really, as you can see, the back is where the real problem is. Inside is pretty good, but the back is a mess. Let's see the other ones that's in here. Superman 215. This one's in rough shape. Also in this box. Well, let me go stick with Superman. There was another Superman in here, and I really wish this was in better shape, because if this was in better shape, this would be just as exciting as that Superman 30 from 1944. But this is also from 1944, and we have Action Comics number 75. But as you can see, it is a complete mess condition-wise. I mean, it is rough. This is about as rough as it gets. Obviously, we got a big chunk missing there. We got tears all over the place. Value-wise, what could have been something that's, I think a 9.4 has this at $1,800 or something like. No, it has to be more than that. But either way, this is probably what could have been if this was, say, in the same condition as that Superman 30, or if it was even a 5. I mean, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of dollars here, if not more. But obviously, in this condition, it's not going to bring that. Some other things that were in here. Burke family. This is for you, and this is, again, I wish this was in better shape, because it is rough, but I know you'd appreciate this. This one, let me look at the year. This one's from 1947, and we have All Flash number 30. This one's for you, Bert. But really, this is incredibly rough. Incredibly rough. If it wasn't for the Superman 30 that's in the condition it's in, I wouldn't have stuck around for this box. That's the only reason I got the box. We'll stick with, there's a lot of DC. And apparently this person was a big DC person. But this was in here too. This is in relatively good condition. But this is from 1966, I believe. Yes, 1966. And it's 3D Batman from DC. Pretty, I mean, it's rough, but not in the shape of like that All Flash. And gotta be so careful here. Adam West. There's the Batman 3D glasses that are still in there, and all the pages inside are meant for you to put on these 3D glasses, because as you can see the art, let me get it close and kind of see what I'm talking about there. The 3D Batman, this book's for decent value. I mean, just on that Superman 30 alone, I got 3 boxes. I spent a grand total of $38 with tax. So I'm more than happy. The only Marvel book that was in there, and this still in this box I paid $25 for, the Submariner number 7. And look at this cover. And this one's in pretty decent shape, honestly. And of course, with a lot of the rumors as far as the Submariner maybe being in the MCU at some point, makes it even more exciting to have this. And pages are in pretty good shape. There's little Terry. Little Terry's full of mischief. But pretty cool photo cover right there. And this is from, let's see, this is from 1968. And this is back when Marvel was owned by Atlas. So that was in that box as well. Alright, what else we got in here? I'll just kind of go through the things that were also in this box. A few more DC things. We got Green Lantern number 20, or DC Special Presents number 20, featuring Green Lantern. Evel Knievel in the background. Pretty rough, but I mean, what a really awesome cover. It still displays nice. Here's another Green Lantern. This is Green Lantern number 66 from 1969. And it's pretty rough, but display's all right. Has some tears inside on the page there, unfortunately. The other things this box came with, some Buster Brown comics, which I'm not familiar with at all, really. But the cool thing about these books, is that they apparently put some local advertisements on them. You can tell that I got these at a local auction because these were bought brand new. These were apparently at Marsh's Shoe Store that used to exist in Winfield, Kansas, my hometown. Just about 10 minutes north of where I live now. And this is pretty cool. This is apparently some early Ditko here. I thought it had more information on this. But apparently some early Ditko. I think it's it's tied for the first Steve Ditko art. And it's a Harvey Comics. And this came out in 1953. And it's rough, but tied for the first Steve Ditko art. Captain 3D. Number 1. And it's, like a lot of these are rough. And like that Batman book, you can see the pages there meant to have 3D glasses. So that's the $25 box. And again, I just love the way this book presents. I can't wait to get it graded. Superman number 30, 1944. Probably even as is, could probably give me probably $300 book if I get it graded, which I am going to get it graded. I'm hoping anywhere from $500 to $700. So, a good use of $25. Another box that I got. This box cost me, I believe, $6 at this auction. And they're giant. They're DC limited collector's edition giants and some famous first editions. Here's Christmas with the Superheroes. As you can see, these are giant books, giant comics. And this one's from 1975. And check this out. Look at this opening page. How cool is that? I'll be displaying this Christmas time. We also have famous first editions. Detective Comics number 27. First appearance of Batman. Check out this on the back. And all these, and check this out. This is just so cool. Just this giant, huge reprint of Detective Comics number 27 with Batman. And DC again printed these out. Let's see, 1974. That's not all. They also have a reprint of Flash number 1. A giant reprint of Sensation Comics Wonder Woman. Here is a Wonder Woman reprint number 1. Shazam. Dick Tracy. And they had a bunch of Dick Tracy comics and a bunch of Walt Disney comics that I also could have probably wanted for very cheap, but I didn't want to haul all of them, and I'm not familiar enough with Dick Tracy, with the Walt Disney keys and that sort of stuff, that it was just going to take forever to go through them. And with the county fair coming up, that's a big time for our radio station. It's going to be so busy, I'm just, not going to have a whole lot of time. This is the last one, First Justice Society. So that box, I got all those for like $5, $5 or $6. And finally, I know that there's a trending market for wartime comics. So there's a box of wartime comics that I got for $5. And probably the one that might have the most value to it, as far as what I looked up and what I researched, is this Boy Commandos number 8. And this is from, let's see, where was that year? I know it's old. I want 1944. I have a lot of 1944 stuff here. But a wartime cover, and look at that, On to Tokyo. Notice how Tokyo is spelled. I have the very first G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe number 1. Or what's considered the first G.I. Joe number 1. From, let's see, where did that year go? 1950. It's in terrible shape, unfortunately. As you can see, it is a complete mess. No back cover. Still kind of cool, though. All of them have some decent value, though, which is crazy. Here's another really cool cover. All these, let's see, this one, 1953. Weird James Stewart book. That's a total mess. It's in terrible shape. Gomer Pyle. These, like I said, I know there's an emerging market. This one's interesting. I couldn't even find a value on this. God's Smuggler, number 1. And apparently what this character does, he just smuggles Bibles into places. I believe he's crossing borders illegally to smuggle Bibles to other places that apparently don't have Bibles. I don't know. It was in the box. But interesting. I mean, I consider this is from 1972. I consider all these old books as little mini time capsules, really. It's interesting, no matter what you think of anything, it's interesting to look at it. This one's a very cool cover. Marines at War. This one's really great. And I couldn't find a value on this because it's just, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's 1952, number 2, GI Combat. But look at that cover. How cool is that? Also some things that surprised me in some value. Rex the Wonder Dog, which is a DC book, or it was. This is from 1953. And these actually have a decent value to them. So, I might turn those around as well. So yeah, all that, including that Superman 30 with the first appearance of Mr. Mxyzptlk, or however you say it, all that for about $38. So I think I need to, when I sell some of these, I probably need to hook my dad up with a bit of a finder's fee, because I'm glad he mentioned that to me. All right. Some new books. New book that came out last week for last week's New Comic Book Day that has received a ton of buzz and rightfully so. House of X #1. This is John Hickman. This is the new jumping point. This is the jumping point. This is probably the biggest jumping point for the X-Men since X-Men #1 back in the early 90s when they started that whole arc. And as most of you know, if you're a big X-Men fan, you know that X-Men #1 from the early 90s is the highest selling comic of all time. I don't know. This has been selling really well. The way they just don't print them. They don't print as many now like they did back then. So it'll be pretty impossible for that record to be broken, I think, anytime soon. But House of X #1, and I absolutely loved it. I go so much in streaks when it comes to, I'll keep this up here, when it comes to buying new books. Because, one, new books are expensive, and it's expensive to keep up, but I'm hooked on this. John Hickman nailed it. As a guy that grew up loving X-Men and Spider-Man because of the animated series that were on TV, I always loved the X-Men, and really it's been so hard to get back into it. And it's interesting because back when X-Men used to be king of Marvel, and they've really taken a back seat with the MCU and Avengers, Captain America, etc. Spider-Man. Spider-Man's never really lost any popularity, but X-Men, ever since X-Men 2, I believe, and maybe X-Men First Class helped for a little bit, but it's really kind of been off the radar. But it appears Hickman's bringing them back in a big way. And we also know that MCU has brought a lot of those Fox properties into the fold. So we're expecting X-Men to be in the MCU within the next decade or so. Probably quicker than that. And what's interesting about that is that Hickman says, and he's been saying, since it's been news that he's been writing this book, that he plans to stay on this title for like that long, for a long time. So you do wonder if X-Men, when X-Men get in the MCU, how much that this story that Hickman's doing is going to influence what that is going to be as far as the story, as far as what the MCU X-Men are going to encompass. I think I'm theorizing here, just specking, but I'm pretty sure that they might go off what Hickman's doing here. And again, this was a fantastic read. I don't want to spoil too much. Powers of X, or Powers of 10, as it's supposed to be called, they're going back and forth. And after House of X and Powers of 10 are done, then we'll have the new Uncanny X-Men, I believe. I'm hoping. I don't know if they've really said that or not, but that's when it's going to be the official, okay, now we're going. This is really the setup of what the new X-Men, what mutants in the Marvel Universe are going to mean now. And this was a fantastic read. As you can see, Professor X there looks a little different. Of course, he was dead. He's always been dead numerous times. But he's back, and him and Magneto are on the same page. As far as what page that is, I don't want to spoil anything. I'll let you read it, pick it up. But I'm very excited about this. I can't wait to pick up Powers of 10. And this is, I think, great things are in store here. Some other pickups. I've been looking for this for a while. This is Avengers 12. I forget what volume, but this is from 2011. And it's Iron Man with the Infinity Gauntlet using all the gems. And it's a nice read, actually. He does use them in this issue. And it's not the same sort of fate as in Endgame. It's a little different take here, but that cover alone, what a beautiful cover, and I'm so glad I was able to find this. I don't remember if I showed this before, but just in case I didn't, when I was at Rockwood Comics in Manhattan, I did talk with Brad, and we're getting my comics shipped out to CGC. I think that's happening this week. So hopefully in about 3-4 weeks, a month from now, I'll do a live unboxing from Rockwood Comics in Manhattan, and we'll see what grade CGC gave my books. I can't wait. These are the first books I've ever had sent out, so I'm very excited about that. And again, if you have books you want to send and you're in the Manhattan area, near Rockwood Comics. He's a certified CGC dealer. He will take care of you. Brad will get you all set up. Brandon as well. Brandon is probably who you'll deal with most of the time during hours at the store there at Rockwood Comics in Manhattan, and they'll get you hooked up, and they know all the ins and outs on CGC grading, and they'll take care of you. So I got this while I was in there. I have the New Mutants 87. I have the first Cable, but this is the first appearance. Well before New Mutants 87, this is Baby Cable. This is when he's a baby, Nathan Summers. So it's really kind of his first appearance in a lot of ways, depending how you... Like a true first, if you're a fan of Comic Tom and his videos. Also, when I was in there, you may have mentioned this, or you may have seen this on the Facebook page. I did a post about this, and I was like, come grab it. And I was like, oh, I went ahead and grabbed it. So this wasn't on the shelf for long. I kind of like did a post as a little ad for Brad, and I ended up taking it. But, as a Heartland geek, Chaos in Kansas, it's an issue where Peter Parker is considering taking a job at a lab in Emporia, Kansas. And it's an interesting read. And as a Kansan, I have to have this. When I saw it on the shelf, I just had to have it as a Kansan. So I thought that was just really cool. And finally, another book I got within the last month, I believe from Rockwood Comics. This is Silver Surfer 44, and it's the first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet. The first time you see it is in this issue. And it's a really great read, too. So, very happy to have this in the collection. All right, we're going to wrap things up because it's going to get really crazy. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get back to you, actually. We got the Cali County Fair coming up, and like I said, for our radio station, this is a big time, and it's a big time for folks out here. I'm in South Central Kansas, and county fairs during the summer are still a very big deal, and it's pretty cool. There's just so much kind of Americana about that I really enjoy. And I'm going to submit some artwork and some photos too, but I'm going to submit some artwork that I've done in the open class. We'll see if I can get a blue ribbon. I'll let you know what happens. But these are some sketches I've done within the past couple years. This one, Captain America punching out Hitler, that I did. This one's a little more kind of abstract. My proportions are a little off on Cap, kind of like Rob Liefeld right there when he did Heroes Reborn. So I'm going to submit that. And this one I'm going to submit. I have a good feeling about this. Obviously, from Spider-Man No More, that iconic panel. I just pulled up the panel on my computer and then just kind of looked. I didn't sketch over it. I didn't do that, but I just had it up just for inspiration and just kind of tried to match it the best I could, and I think I did all right. So I'm going to submit this at the county fair. We'll see how that goes. All right. That's it for now. And, I'll keep you updated as far as con season. As far as summer con season, we're kind of on the downstretch of that, especially with the San Diego Comic-Con. That's always the Super Bowl of cons. And that was, last weekend or the weekend before. And as far as regionally here in the Midwest, around the Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado, Nebraska region, Missouri region, as far as the ones I'll be able to get to, I'm going to try to get the I will get the Air Capital in Wichita. That's coming up. There's a few more cons coming up in the fall, and that it just kind of slows down for a little bit. So it's been a really fun summer. It's been really cool to, do all this stuff. And, really I'm just kind of going into a lot of this, not having much of an idea of what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going with the flow on things and checking out the things that I enjoy, talking about the things that I enjoy, and I hope you all do too. And I hope you enjoy what content that I'm putting together. And like I said, this is an evolving thing, and I'm very excited about what year 3 is going to bring. I got a lot of big plans, a lot of big ideas that I think a lot of people in the Midwest are really going to enjoy, as far as having that Midwest sort of comic book geek hub of content and information. Because I don't want it to just totally be just me kind of riffing, showing you some stuff that I got or that I have. I really want to cover these cons. I want these cons in the region to get the attention that they deserve, and to get that San Diego Comic-Con sort of attention, but just here throughout the consumers, all the folks here in the Midwest that go to these things. I want to put these smaller cons and these Midwest cons in the spotlight, because they get great folks, they get great guests, they get great vendors. And if you can't go to San Diego Comic-Con, and not everybody can, I haven't been to San Diego Comic-Con yet. That's an expensive trip. It's an expensive con. And, I don't want people to think that if you can't go to San Diego, then, I just won't go to cons. There's plenty of cons in the Midwest that you can go to that are very cool, that have a lot of cool stuff, and you meet so many great people. So, with that, have a happy Sunday, my congregation. Go out and find a Superman 30 like I did at an auction. Pay attention to those things. Look out for those real estate sales and stuff like that. You never know what gem you may uncover. So, with that, that's it for today. Happy Sunday. Have a good week, everybody. And it's fair time here in South Central Kansas. An exciting time. We'll talk to you later. Brady, Super Geek News Midwest, perhaps Heartland Geek, coming soon. See you, everybody.